My fellow Papua New Guineans, greetings once again. I come to you this time to address the nation on the issue of COVID-19, or what is now globally known as the coronavirus that first was detected in Wuhan province in China. This has now become a global pandemic as defined by World Health Organization. And let me assure the nation, from day one when this was established as a pandemic, our country has been doing everything we can in our preparedness to ensure that this disease in the first instance do not enter our country, or if it does enter our country, then we can identify in the first instance and ensure that we arrest this virus and put it to stop or contain in our mitigation plans that we put in place. Let me thank in the first instance our own health department, led by Minister the Honorable Jalta Wong and other ministers who've ensured that these control measures are put in place from day one and have been working non-stop, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, when this virus was first established as a global threat. Our country is not immune to this virus, but as I speak today, no case has been established, and we must thank God Almighty for ensuring that our country has been kept away from this global pandemic. But that is not to say that we are immune from this virus. The all indication that PNG will stand vulnerable once this coronavirus hits our shores, and we've been prepared for this since day one. For instance, Port Moresby International Airport has been the only designated airport for point of entry for all our visitors coming into our country. Port Moresby Port, Lae Port, Madang and Kokopo has been only the 4 designated shipping berthing ports in our country. And in those 5 sites, we have placed health personnel who've been mobilized. We have placed immigration personnel, and we place our customs personnel to ensure that we are on high alert to firstly check all incoming person into our country. And if cases are established, then we will ensure that the containment provisions and procedures we've established kicks in. So at this juncture, let me assure each and every one of you out there in our country, your government is very, very conscious of the possible effect of this virus in our country, and within the limitations of resource we have in our country, we're doing our utmost best to firstly buffer our country from intrusion of this virus. Secondly, if a case is confirmed, then containment procedures will kick in place. Our health department, in partnership with WHO, United Nations, and all our bilateral partners, including Chinese Embassy and Australian High Commission and every other bilateral partners we have been rallying around the clock to ensure that PNG is prepared to fight this virus if it does enter our country. Most of you would know our country still enjoys the green color code labeling, meaning that we have no one case of coronavirus in our country as yet. Many parts of planet Earth in over 122 countries have now flagged as orange or red, meaning that they have the presence of coronavirus and have reached pandemic stage. We are fortunate, and as I said earlier, by the grace of God, our country has not yet been visited by this pandemic. But as government, let me assure everyone, we are very much prepared to face this virus if it does hit our country. The roles you and me collectively can play. Government's role will be spelled out by me in the next few minutes. But our citizens' role and leadership role at various levels can be collectively played. And I want to also raise awareness in this State of Nation address so that every citizen, every public servants, every agent of government, and those of us at key roles of government can play in ensuring that we stop the virus from entering our country, or we manage cases established, if cases are established into the future, and we arrest it from expanding beyond cases if established into the future. Some measures we have taken thus far and we are taking includes preventing all passengers from traveling in from countries already established as critically red flag countries like Italy, Iran, South Korea, Japan, and mainland China. Those passengers traveling in from these countries must produce evidence of 14 days of quarantine in those respective countries and must have evidence of medical clearance before they board our PX flights. And Air Guinea has been informed, and all oncoming passengers into our country have been informed well in advance that 14 days clearance and certification and medical clearance is a compulsory requirement. We've also placed a 60-day travel ban on all public servants from PNG traveling externally until further review is done. We ban cruise ships and yachts from coming in with more than 15 people or so aboard. We're setting up quarantine facilities in Port Moresby and Lae, in Rabaul, in Mount Hagen, and we will ensure that if need be, some key areas in our country have quarantine facilities and designated sites of keeping people, if found to have been in contact with people who are possible candidates of coronavirus or themselves being infected with the virus. For the next 90 days, we're requiring quarantine clearance to be established. Seaports of entry, as I said earlier, Port Moresby, Lae, Medang, and Kokopo will be our only designated ports of entry. Any ship or shipping companies coming in from outside who are found to have breached these protocols we put in place will be heavily penalized. All international ships coming into our country must enter these 4 ports, and for us, the team that we put in place to have interface, they will be checked similar to the process that we have established for our international airport injections. These are procedures and processes we're putting in place. PNG Institute of Medical Research are working very well with the health department to establish not necessarily only a testing place in Goroka, testing laboratory in Goroka, but we are bringing a testing facility also into Port Moresby. In Port Moresby, we already, in partnership with our development partners, set up a specific quarantine site already in 6 Mile. And so these are some of the proactive response we have taken as a government to ensure that we stand ready to fight the coronavirus if it does enter our shores. We ask our citizens to bear with us. In moments like this is not necessarily just a health issue. It goes to affect the economy. It will also affect some of our daily habits and routines, including communal activities. And at this point in time, let me appeal to all our citizens. Government will do everything to stand at the doorsteps to protect this virus from entering our country. But if first world nations like USA, Australia, New Zealand, and many first world nations have seen their borders being broken down and that virus entering, Papua New Guinea stands every chance for our borders to be broken down, but at this point in time we have not yet. And I'd like to give assurance to everyone that we will do everything to protect our borders, but every citizen must respond to the call of being COVID-19 or coronavirus prepared in the event that it hits our country. First and foremost, stay away from unnecessary public gatherings where a crowd is present. Number 2, unnecessary shaking hands must be stopped. If not at all, I encourage for greetings by high and verbal greetings, or if not, do a fist bump if you can. And please wash your hands regularly. And our citizens, if you are genuinely concerned about coronavirus and any other viruses, healthy lifestyle is important. Unnecessary chewing and spitting of buais, unnecessary living with death in our life wash every day, washing hands regularly. These are practices that we can do. And I encourage every employers right across our country to have hand washing basins and stations in your place of work. It's a simple message that we all can collectively do to ensure that we stand ready and resist possibility of spreading or encouraging the virus from spreading. We want to conclude by assuring our country our government is doing everything possible, including some members of parliament sacrificing their DSIP to this national cause. If this virus hits our country, we have mobilized a network of support, including our development partners, who stand ready to assist our country defending it from further spreading. Thank God, as we speak, it hasn't hit our country yet. I ask every Christian right across our country, continue on praying so that our country can evade or escape this global pandemic. Already by any citizen close to border crossing, from Watung to the south side in South Fly, border crossers are now banned from crossing across to West Papua. Our traditional border crossers in between South Bougainville and Solomon Islands have been asked to stop. Our international flights are only managed through Jackson's Airport. And every visitor visiting us, and of the 5 countries, they must have evidence of 14 days of quarantine and medical clearance before they enter. And we will assess the case as we go on to expand it beyond all flights into the immediate future, so that they have medical clearance given before they board our PX flights and a 14-day rest or quarantine period. And if any case is established at Jackson's Airport or for seaports or within our country by signs and symptoms of patients, then our country is prepared to ensure facilities established in Port Moresby, Lae, Medang, Kokopo, Goroka, and Hagen are used to quarantine patients and to treat them. So this is the least we can do to ensure our nation stands ready to fight the coronavirus. And let me assure every citizen not to be unnecessarily panicked. If you establish a case or come in contact with a person who shows signs of the virus, isolate yourself, report that case to the hotline, and we will deal with the patient or with the case at the earliest we can. God bless Papua New Guinea. God bless each and every one of you, wherever you are. And let me thank our health officials, our foreign affairs officials, and our officials at immigration, and our officials from our various bilateral partners who've been assisting us in preparing our country to fight this virus if it does reach our shores. God bless Papua New Guinea.